Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
All of you here and in Galveston. I know it's wonderful to see everybody and have all this great conversation and sharing and reunion. But we're going to try to stay reasonably on time with our schedule. So if you would take a seat, we will get started. Thanks, Dr. Rounds. Welcome, everyone. I'm Deborah Jones. I am the current dean of the School of Nursing. I've had the honor and pleasure of serving in the dean's role for about 7 years now. And I am very honored that you all are here and that, you know, even under the circumstances, I think I said to someone coming in the door, I wish it was under better circumstances, but they said, oh no, this is a celebration. And I've met Dr. Fenton and have had the pleasure of interacting with her at least twice, and those were meaningful. And so I really believe that this is a celebration in her honor. And I think seeing the sky of folks, you know, the sea of people that are out here, it definitely highlights who she was. I want to thank Dr. Rounds, who's many of you already know is our current Associate Dean for Professional Development, who was active, very active with Dr. Fenton and became a close colleague and a friend to her, who helped pull this together, along with Ms. Chelsea Jones, who works at the School of Nursing as one of our special coordinators in coordinating the events. And they've done an amazing job in making sure that today is something that is remarkable and meaningful. So today, I think it's really meaningful when you think about this week. This is Nurses Week. And the theme of Nurses Week is the power of nurses. And when you think about the powerful legacy that Dr. Fenton has left, I think it was most fitting to have this occasion during Nurses Week because she has left a legacy. She served as the Dean of the School of Nursing from 1985 through 2001. She was a visionary leader, one who was also a dedicated educator. She was a passionate advocate for nursing excellence, and she guided this school through a number of milestones that are still in place today and that we've continued to carry forward and wouldn't be in place without Dr. Fenton. So I'll name just a few of those. Dean Fenton was integral in the school's move to its current building that's right across the street to accommodate major growth in the school. She was instrumental in helping to expand the advanced practice programs in the state, across the entire state of Texas and nationwide. And Dr. Rounds is going to touch on a little bit of that later. She understood that there was a necessity for a relationship between the School of Nursing and also with our hospital settings, that it was a vital link to make sure that the school and the hospital work together in the development of quality educational programs and also nursing practice, one of which is also very near and dear into my heart. Through advances in technology, she led the school in its innovative transitions to distance education programs. She spearheaded the school's first online programs and courses, which laid the foundation for our digital education presence that we have today. And if you think back to that, I mean, think about it. People are still trying to figure out online education and how to do distance education well. How forward thinking was she to be, and pioneering was she to start that so many years ago? And all you hear right now is around digital and AI. Well, Dr. Fenton moved forward the school in that presence such a long time ago, and we've continued to carry that forward. Dean Fenton elevated the school's reputation by establishing it as a WHO, or World Health Organization, collaborating center for nursing. In 1996, the School of Nursing created a doctoral program with unique emphasis on the construct of healing, which enabled the school to achieve top U.S. ranking and be competitive for national research funding. Her vision, her dedication, her transformative impact to the UTMB School of Nursing will always be remembered here. Her legacy lives on in countless students. It lives on in our faculty. You got to meet some of our students out here today. They didn't know her, but they know her because of their ability to be in that building over there and to be able to have this education here. I am, as I said, touched by the fact that the first time that I met her at our Alumni Association or homecoming meeting, she said, "I am so happy to meet you, and I am proud of the work that's been going on at the School of Nursing." And that meant a lot to me. A new dean coming into this position, had not had it before, had not been in a dean's role before, someone who had left such a legacy to say, "School's in good hands. I feel good about the way that it's moving forward." And that meant so much to me. So with that, I want to say Dr. Fenton's legacy continues to live on. It will continue to live on. She has not and will not be forgotten. And the work that she has done here, I'm honored to continue to carry forward. Dr. Church, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Church, who'll be able to provide even more information related to her. So thank you.
Well, I'd like to thank Dr. Jones for hosting this event and Linda Rounds for helping facilitate, and the irreplaceable Chelsea Jones, who has supported us in developing this program, and my colleagues who've helped me. I'm going to speak to two of Mary's strategic initiatives with which I was the most involved: the school's 100th anniversary in 1990 and the development of the doctoral program. So I think it's very fitting that this tribute is happening here because UTMB had great importance in Mary's life. She had, like a lot of UTMB graduates, she graduated in 1966 with her BSN. She had a real sense of its long history and the importance of its contributions to the state, to the community, to the world. And so it's not surprising that early in her deanship, she recognized the importance of the 100th anniversary of the founding of the school in 1890 and saw this as a significant part of her strategic vision for the school. So I met Mary as one of her students in the master's program in 1983. And I became part of the Centennial Project as a new faculty member when, in 1988, she appointed me to the role of chair of the 1990 Centennial Celebration Committee. At that time, I was a doctoral student in the UTMB Institute for Medical Humanities, and nursing history, including the history of this school, was a focus of my doctoral research. So even though I was one of the most junior faculty in the building, and I was going crazy managing a full-time teaching load and doctoral studies, she decided that I was the person to lead the planning effort. And as those of you who worked with her know, resistance is futile. So away I went. Okay. So she clearly recognized that this anniversary was a strategic opportunity to enhance the school's bonds with the alumni, with the Galveston community, with the larger nursing and healthcare communities, and it could provide an inflection point for growth and development of and advancement of the school. She was undaunted by the fact that we had no money, no staff, and that those of us who were tapped to begin the planning process, including me and Assistant Dean for Student Alumni Affairs, Corinne Opperman, all had full-time jobs already, no problem. We knew that our reach exceeded our grasp, but we went boldly forth and we made big plans and we figured out how to pay for them later. That was our motto. You can't read it well, but there's a picture of it in the display. We created events that spanned the centennial year of 1990. And we started with a nursing history exhibit that went on display in January 1990 at the Galveston County Museum, which at that time was housed in the old Galveston Bank building on Market and 23rd Streets. So one of my most vivid centennial memories was that of bringing the exhibition materials, because we had a replica of a hospital room and nursing uniforms and a lot of stuff. So, to the museum, and as directed by the museum staff, I pulled in the alley behind the building looking for a loading dock. Okay. So, however, as I watched, this little tiny 5-foot square little platform with knee-high railings came down the sheer wall of the museum, three stories. And I really, really, really wanted to leave, to drive away with my stuff, but I was ashamed. So I helped him put the things on the platform. And as I'm bouncing back up, I looked out over the rooftops of Galveston, clinging to that little railing, and I thought, this centennial is going to kill me. But it did not. I survived. And actually, Mary's insights about the importance of this anniversary were proven absolutely correct. All of the events brought visibility to the school. It expanded our community. It reconnected a lot of alumni with the school. And the community, I think, was wonderfully supportive. So we had 600 alumni register for the Centennial Homecoming, which was held on March 10th, 1990, 100 years to the day from the opening in 1890. And since she had insisted that there be no registration fee, and we had limited money to pay for the event, I was thinking, I'm going to have to mortgage my house to buy lunch for 600 people. But no, she told me not to worry. She would not let me fear or shrink. And sure enough, she got funding from the university, and our alumni had a wonderful time. It was really a very successful activity. So as she expected, the school benefited greatly from this initiative. The first endowed chair for nursing funded by the Seeley and Smith Foundation, the Rebecca Seeley Centennial Chair, which Dr. Jones now holds, the first professorship, and many scholarships. So it really set the stage for another of her major strategic goals, and that was the establishment of a doctoral program in nursing. And back in 1994-95, doctoral programs in nursing were not numerous in the state. She recruited a brilliant nurse scholar and educator, Dr. Phyllis Critic, to help design the program, which focused on healing as a central nursing construct. And the path to program approval was not an easy one. It took a great deal of evidence gathering, coalition building, but with the support of then UTMB president, Dr. Thomas James, Dr. Critic, the faculty, succeeded in getting the program approved and established and opened in 1996. And this effort, there's the exhibit that I almost died for. So any nurse. This, as part of the doctoral program development process, Dr. Critic led the faculty with Mary's support in working together on a book that was published in 1997, Reflections on Healing. And there were 38 faculty members who basically presented their own reflections on healing from the standpoint of their practice arena and their scholarship. So, and there's a copy of the book on display for anyone who wants to look at it. These achievements were possible because Mary was the kind of leader who always focused on her vision for nursing and on empowering nurses to achieve their highest potential and caring for the people that they serve. She had the inner strength and the confidence to create ambitious goals, to seek out and nurture talent, to overcome obstacles, and accept criticism and opposition as opportunities to learn rather than to retaliate. As I was hanging from the side of the Galveston County Museum in 1990, I didn't quite understand where these experiences were going to lead me. When I was recruited in 2009 to open a school of nursing at the University of St. Thomas, which is a Catholic liberal arts university in Houston, I finally realized what I had learned from Mary and the challenges she gave me. My work with the Centennial Celebration and with the doctoral program, in particular, all the experiences, but those in particular, made it possible for me to articulate the unique contributions of nursing as a healing ministry in a compelling way and it astonished me how compelling people found that vision. To create a strategic vision, to fundraise effectively, to negotiate a budget, and to establish myself as a nursing leader. And she continued to support and guide me as a consultant for the 3 successful Commission on Collegiate Nursing Education accreditation processes that I led as the dean of that school. And I am truly grateful for her presence in my life and for all the gifts that I received from her as her graduate student, her faculty member, her colleague, and friend. Dr. Rounds.
Thank you, Polly. There's so many of the things that Polly highlighted that are so true. And you'll hear some of those same themes again about Mary. For me, Mary she was a colleague. She was my mentor. She was my mentor as long as I knew her. And a champion for nurse practitioner education and for advanced practice. Her influence spanned the state of Texas, the nation, and the world. Mary reached out beyond this country. I first met Mary, who was faculty in the graduate program at that time. She was in the graduate program, and I was teaching in the undergraduate program. And she learned somehow that I was a family nurse practitioner, and I was probably one of the few nurse practitioners on the faculty at that time. And so she recruited me, though I don't think I would call it recruitment. Yeah, Polly is right. Resistance is futile. Is. It still is today. Here we are, all honoring Mary, you know, as we want to, of course. It was more like being summoned. And her influence, you know, with the administration, you know, she went to the administration and said, I need Linda to help teach the nurse practitioner program. So there I was. And that's what I've done since 1984, thanks to Mary. And again, as Polly said, one of the things I admired so much about Mary was her vision. She had a vision for what the future was going to be in healthcare and in nursing, and I'm sure in many other things as well. In the early 80s, Mary said that primary care and community-based care were the future. And of course, here we are. They are today. She said then that in order to be ready for the future, we needed to prepare nurse practitioners who could take that role and who could work in the community, and that UTMB needed to be part of that. But for UTMB to be part of that, we had to overhaul the nurse practitioner program. We had a pediatric program and an adult program, and the pediatric program was kind of doing their thing. They'd been around for a long time. The adult program was fairly new. I don't remember exactly when it started. But Mary had been and was a clinical nurse specialist in respiratory care. And so she knew as an advanced practice nurse what was required, that what nurse practitioners and clinical specialists needed in order to diagnose and treat patients, as well as integrate nursing into the role. And so in that adult program, there was no pharmacology, there was no health assessment. I think there was patho at that time, but just because it wasn't there didn't mean that Mary wasn't going to see that it was there and that it would be there. And so Mary located a PharmD here at UTMB. Some of you had him for your faculty, John Fox. She recruited him to teach pharmacology. She added this. She didn't create a pharmacology course. She said, and Jerry Jaquist is sitting back there, and Jerry was one of these students. There were 3 students in the adult program. Jerry was one of them. She's probably still traumatized from this particular experience, because Mary said, well, we have this course. We don't have a pharmacology course now, but you all need to learn it. And so it just became part of that clinical course until we were able to create a separate course in pharmacology. And then she brought in visiting faculty from, I don't honestly remember exactly where she was at the time, Marie Napolitano. A few of you remember her. Marie was visiting faculty for 2 summers. She helped us create the health assessment program and teach it. So then we had pharmacology, health assessment, and patho. And that helped bring our nurse practitioner program up to where it needed to be. But she also said clinical is important, and where nurse practitioners do clinical is important. And so she took me by the hand and we went off to meet with the chair of the Department of Internal Medicine. And Mary said, we need our students to have clinical, this kind of clinical in internal medicine. And because they weren't getting it at that time, we weren't really in any of the UTMB clinics for nurse practitioners. I don't know, Jerry probably remembers where they were, but the chair of internal medicine, again, resistance is futile. Thank you, Poldy, for that phrase. I love it, being a Star Trek fan as well. Because the chair of internal medicine said, well, okay, all right, we'll work with you. And it was a bumpy road. It was a bumpy road to get some of the, particularly the residents in internal medicine, to think that it was okay to work with nurse practitioners, but they did. And it turned out well. But her leadership and vision related to advanced practice education led to, we had 11 years of continuous federal funding for our programs. And in collaboration with Betts Anderson, where, yes, Betts is back there. Betts and Mary put their community health, public health heads together and created the community-based primary care program. Yes, yes. And that required nurse practitioners to learn community health. Not that they didn't work in communities, but working in a community is not the same as understanding community health and population health and all those things. So, and we were funded for that. And UTMB instituted community-based primary care 15 years before it became a requirement for all nurse practitioner education. And her integration and her expectation that nurse practitioners be completely prepared across pharm, patho, and health assessment. She took that on, and I think some of it came from her experience with the Board of Nursing. Mary was on the Board of Nursing. She served as the president. And, of course, she saw programs that were submitted and applications for advanced practice to the board. And she realized that nurse practitioner education was inconsistent, not just in Texas, but across the country. So she worked with faculty and staff at the American Association of Colleges of Nursing, which is the organization for leadership in higher education. And she contributed to creating national standards for nurse practitioner education, which are now part of national certification and national accreditation requirements. And we all, sometimes not so affectionately, refer to as the 3 Ps: pharm, patho, and physical assessment. And so Mary's contributions to advanced practice led to, and what is still true, one of the most well-respected nurse practitioner programs in the state of Texas and nationally. But of course, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. Mary never really rested much about in sharing her knowledge and her leadership. And after Mary retired from UTMB, she went to Texas Tech, and there Mary was very, very supportive and helped to develop their Doctor of Nursing practice program. And because she knew that nurse practitioners, that it was important to be able to diagnose and treat patients, but that they needed more. They needed to know leadership. They needed to know how to deal with systems, how to be able to change systems to make things better for patients. Because in the end, that really was what it was all about. It was about creating and developing nurses and advanced practice nurses who could provide good and competent care to their patients. Words can't convey what Mary's leadership and her vision for nursing and advanced practice did for UTMB and the nursing profession. As Dr. Jones said, that her legacy lives on and will. It will. I can't imagine some of those. The 3 Ps are not going away. I'm sure of that. And I'm so grateful that she was part of my journey and she took me along on her journey. So we miss you, Mary. Phyllis?
Good morning. I'm glad you're here. My name is Phyllis Waters, and I have the pleasure of being Mary's friend for over half a century. That hit me this morning. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mary the person and my experiences with her as her friend and colleague and the journey that we shared. And much of it will cover the same kinds of things here, but I'm going to try to share with you the person who embodied those roles, who dealt with those challenges, and who experienced those triumphs that each one of the previous speakers talked about. Christy Hedges, author of The Power of Presence, defines presence as the ability to connect with and inspire others. I don't think any of us would say there's a better example of that than Mary Fenton. The ability to connect with and inspire others. Mary Virginia Fenton, and I always called her that, by the way, so you'll see that was my name for her. I would say Mary Virginia, and she knew that meant business. And when she said Phyllis Jean, I did too. Okay. Mary was gentle while exhibiting strength. She was a determined advocate, but compassionate to her adversaries, really. And when she aligned her iron will with clear intent, there was nothing, simply nothing or no one who could deter her. Y'all have heard that over and over again. And that is how she built her vision. That was the picture I was supposed to be on. When I first met Mary, we were both young clinical nurses. She was a fresh CNS, and I was about to get into graduate school, and we were in the medical center, and she was involved in critical care nursing, which was a pioneering activity in the late 60s and early 70s. Let me be really clear with you. There were very few people who knew anything about critical care, and she was an advanced practice nurse in critical care, which made her a very rare duck, a very unique presence. And she, at that time, even at that early time, recognized the need for scholarship rooted in practice. And early in her career, she wrote a really landmark piece of work on crisis intervention in acute care. And it was nationally recognized. And it was an amazing accomplishment. I'm supposed to make an abbreviated speech, and I had edited this out, and somebody requested it. So I met Mary as in the cafeteria because she noticed my cap had a V. I had taken my band and made a V instead of wearing it like I was supposed to. And she came up to me. We didn't know each other, both in uniform, both working in the clinical area. And she said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Savannah, Georgia." And she said, I've never seen a cap like that. What does that V stand for? And I said, victory over caps. And she said, and from that moment on, we knew we were kindred spirits. Okay. From that moment on. And I wore that cap until they decided we didn't have to wear caps anymore. Okay. I don't know how you tell. I don't know how. You know that song in The Sound of Music. How do you explain somebody like Mary? Well, I just threw a bunch of words up there because I think you'll get a sense of Mary if you try to take a look at them. But in the 70s was a very formative decade for Mary Fenton. I knew her well. I was in her professional life, and I was also in her personal life. And it was a very formative year. It was a time when she actually explored studying art. Many of you may not know, Mary was a very talented painter. And she was struggling with whether to pursue a career in art or to pursue continue her career, make a full commitment to career in nursing. And when she chose nursing, she made a full commitment. I asked her why she couldn't do both. But if you knew Mary, she put everything into whatever she committed to. And she went on, and that was the decade in which she pursued her doctorate. And it was also the decade in which she began to look into her interest in humanistic healthcare and how to differentiate humanistic from dehumanistic healthcare. For her doctoral dissertation, in fact, she developed probably what's one of the most significant tools for differentiating humanistic from dehumanistic healthcare. I always feel like we need to put it in our pocket and take it every time we go anywhere because it is a wonderful, wonderful tool. It was the time at which, during this decade, in which she was exploring deeply who she was and creating a ground of being for connecting with her professional practice and connecting with other people. It was the first seeds of what came out of eventually a healing doctoral program. It was a very important time. It was a busy time. Let me just say, we were very active in the feminist movement. We were in consciousness raising groups. Bet you didn't know that. We were there marching for the ERA, and we also were very active in all the activities that were associated with raising nursing up to recognition as a full professional status. I could go on. You could tell that, can't you? I'm editing. I really am. I had an interesting experience with Mary. Mary and I spent, like I said, a decade together in the 70s, and then I moved to Ohio. And I was struggling with a relationship and what level of commitment I wanted to make in that relationship. And Mary basically shared with me this very wise piece of information, and it had a big impact on my life, and I wanted to share it with you. She basically said, it's not who you are or who he is, it's who you are together. And I realized that was her approach to all kinds of relationships, that it was who were we together and what was the energy created between us that mattered. And Mary had many different types of relationships, and she seeded relationships that were sometimes based on common purpose that had tremendous outcomes, as Linda and Poldy and the dean have told you. probably her most important relationship was her family. And she was very much valued her family. Her sisters and her mother were very strong women. And I heard a lot about the qualities that they had that molded her and made her the woman she was. Her husband, Stephen, Mary felt was her soulmate. Mary had had many admirers. Now, like Forrest Gump, that's all I'm going to say about that. But when she met Stephen, that was her soulmate. And she told me from deep within herself that he made her dream come true in West Texas. He shared her dream, he shared her vision, and it was a very powerful relationship that they shared. Mary also had lost her father, I believe in 1978, and he continued throughout her life to be an influence on her. She spoke of him many times, and how his modeling and his expectations had molded her capacity to move forward. Mary also seeded relationships with people. Now, I told you that I had left Texas in the 80s, and someone mentioned before Mary's commitment to practice and academic partnerships. Mary came up, and I believe you've heard that she's very difficult to deal with when she gets something on her mind. And she flew up to Ohio, and we went to the Upper Peninsula and went to Mackinac Island and walked around Mackinac Island while she was convincing me I needed to come back to Texas and help her create a nursing joint venture between UTMB School of Nursing and UTMB Clinical Services. And as we were walking around, the storm came, and we ended up in a ditch with it lightning, and I finally said, okay, I'm coming. It's okay, I'm coming. Well, there was a group of leaders at that time that were from academia and the clinical enterprise, and I had the pleasure of working with both of them. We did form, as the dean told you earlier, a partnership. At times, it has ebbed and flowed, to be honest with you. There were times the partnership was able to accomplish a lot, and there were times when it was at rest. But it made a significant difference. But the group Mary brought together for that purpose, we stayed together. And that is a 40-year relationship that has outlasted our roles and our appointments. And we're known as the Yaya Sisters, if any of you have ever heard Mary talk about any of her Yaya Sisters. And the Yaya Sisters are here, by the way, and help put this display together. And this was one of the things about Mary, was she had this capacity to create communities. Daniel Coyle, who does a lot with leadership culture, talks about a leader being able to create a sense of belonging. And Mary was able to do that. And she seeded relationships and communities wherever she went. I understand she did it in West Texas. I understand she did it in Texas, and she did it internationally. And so we're really grateful for her. And I can tell you, this group has stayed together. And to talk about our commitment to Mary, we've put out fires for her. We've been in fires with her, and Corinne actually buried a horse for her. And so we've been through a great deal together. And huh? Yeah. Okay, but what I'm saying is this is a typical Mary group. This is, I mean, we think we're special, but there were also many others. Mary as a leader is a phenomenal person to talk about. And by definition, leadership is the ability to influence people. And Mary influenced people in amazing ways. And she was really an irresistible force. She was a force of nature. And her vision for the school always required that we reach beyond what was objectively possible. Now, I say that because it was really true. And somehow it almost always worked out. And you asked the question, could a little school on a barrier island in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico become internationally known for its nurse practitioner program? Well, let's see. Let's charge Linda Rounds with creating a model curriculum. Let's charge Beth Anderson with developing a WHO Center. No resources, just a reach, go beyond your reach, get it done. And she did. When Mary retired, she was very admired Dean Bartoff very much, and always wanted to model her deanship after Dean Bartoff and to leave the kind of legacy that she thought she had. And I believe she did. And I can tell you that she told us, that's the 40-year friendship group, that she was very sure that when Dr. Jones took over, that this 135-year-old school was in very good hands. After retirement, Mary moved to West Texas, and you've heard all the things she did out there. She started DMP program and did some other things. But the things that she was able to do in West Texas was really express her connection with nature and all of life. And one of the things you had to know about Mary, she did not differentiate species. It was, she loved and acknowledged any living thing, one just as much as the other. And this is best illustrated by her wedding, because she rode a horse down the aisle to meet her husband, who was there with the best man, their dog Duke. And so this was very typical of Mary, and really expressed her capacity to connect with anything living, and she did so with love. Nothing did she love more than her horses. And whether she was riding side saddle in a parade or competing for a championship ribbon, she was never happier than when she was on horseback. The last time Mary Fenton was at UTMB, her beloved UTMB, was to receive the Living Legends Award in 2022. And as was custom, she usually stayed at my home, and we invited friends to come by. And this is the last gathering. There were still people in the other part of the room. For those of you who've been there, know. But this was the last gathering in which we got a picture of Mary. And she was happy. It was a happy time. It's a happy memory. Mary was my friend. I loved her, and I will miss her visits and our talks. But I know Mary's unique presence will always be with me. And I am sure many of you have that same feeling.
Thank you, Phyllis. Well, now we have a little time And I'd like to invite anybody who would like to add anything or say anything. And I'll start it. And as I know Alexia is on her way, this is from, and some of you will remember her as faculty, Jerry Goshen. Jerry was faculty in the graduate program at the time Mary was dean, and she's out in West Texas. She said, I was going to drive 500 miles to be there, but in the end, it worked out that she couldn't. But she wanted everybody to know, she said, my message centers around Mary's vast knowledge and experience, which contributed to development of nursing education in Southwest Texas. Successful professional nursing education programs are now operational in Alpine, Eagle Pass, Del Rio, and Uvalde, which previously had only LVN programs. Her unselfish contribution of time and expertise provides high school graduates and adults avenues to advance their education in health services. The number of hours she spent providing information to individuals can only be imagined. It is difficult to place into words the contribution she has made to the profession of nursing, not only in Texas, but nationally and internationally. We all miss her greatly for an extensive number of reasons. And that's from Jerry. Okay. Alexia. This is Alexia Green. And I know Alexia from a lot of her work in the Texas Nurses Association, and she was the dean at Texas Tech University.
Thank you for having me. And I'm also a UTMB graduate. I can't remember the year, it was so long ago. That's terrible. I think it was 80 something, but I'm very pleased to be here today. And we all loved Mary. I mean, I can see it on your faces. The memories we have of her, the contributions she made to all of us to help us grow. My relationship with her personally, I was a dean when she helped me as a young dean at Texas Tech grow the program there. But also we battled getting the DNP in place in Texas with the Higher Education Coordinating Board. We were both deans at the same time, and that was quite a battle, but we were able to get the DNP established, thank goodness. And then when she retired, she transitioned, as you know, and began to help a lot of people with a lot of different programs, and we were able to recruit her to help us launch the DNP program at Texas Tech. So she was instrumental. She worked with us for about 2 years in doing that endeavor. I was also a friend of hers. I mean, it was so easy to be a friend with Mary. We both loved horses. I was a horse person too. I had the privilege of visiting her multiple times in West Texas, seeing her beautiful home. It was just West Texas. If you hadn't been to her home in West Texas, Fort Davis, it was just a beautiful setting, and it very much fit Mary. It was Mary. She loved it. But today I'm also here not just representing myself and Texas Tech, but I'm also representing other colleagues across the state who had the opportunity to work with her. We all loved Mary. She was a resource for everyone and a friend with everyone. And actually, I have a long list of names I'm going to call out because all of these individuals reached out to me. They knew I was coming today and asked, please tell Mary that we loved her too. So I am here on behalf of Dr. Holly Wee, who is our new dean at Texas Tech, but also Dr. Mary Holt Ashley, who's at UT Permian Basin, Dr. Eileen Kishi, Dr. Patricia Allen, Dr. Myrna Armstrong, Dr. Serena Bumpus, Dr. Barbara Cherry, Roberta Acock, Dr. Michael Evans, Dr. Carol Hudgins, Dr. Fern Kaiba, Jeffrey McInnes, Dr. Emily Merrill, Peggy Perry, Dr. Betty Skaggs, Dr. Ruth Stewart, Dr. Kathy Thomas, and Dr. Patricia Yoder-Weiss. I know all of you recognize some of those names, colleagues and friends. We all loved Mary, and she contributed so much. So UTMB has so much to be proud of with her as part of your legacy, and so does the state of Texas and all the nurses who had the pleasure of working with her. We all loved her. Thank you.
Thanks, Alexia. Is there anybody that would like to say anything? Let me come to you then. I think, unless you want to get up and get your steps in, Beth, well.
I'm Bets Anderson and go way back with Mary when we were on the Lung Association Committee of Houston. And so we'd meet there whenever that association met, and we got to know one another fairly well. Then she came to Galveston. The next thing I got a call, aren't you going to come to Galveston? And I said, well, I hadn't really thought about it, but let me think about it. And so I came as what she wanted to do was to reconfigure the School of Nursing so that it had departments, so that we could communicate with other schools that had departments. And I came as the first department chair of community health and gerontology. So that was fun. And she really supported the work that I had done, and that was the international work. That's how we got a WHO center. And I felt, now you think about world travel. How does the school pay for world travel? Not with state money, not a state school at all. And she had a chair. She sat a chair. I think it was called the Jenny Seeley chair. And so whenever I needed to go to a meeting in Korea or Egypt or somewhere, she'd pay for the way to get there and no questions asked. She was very supportive of our international work, and we entertained visitors from the schools across the world too. So that was fun and very innovative of her to figure out how to pay for it. And we've hosted folks from all over the world. So I just needed to say that. She was so supportive of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Anybody else? Suzanne, yes. Would you like to go up front or stand here?
I can stand here. Thank you, Linda. Well, hello, everybody. I guess besides her sisters, I knew Mary maybe the longest in this room. We were students together at Vincent Hall. And that was kind of a miserable place now that I look back at it. But we had so much fun. And as students, this was the most wonderful place to be. Nursing students, we were premium female on the campus, and we would have several dates a day. And Mary dated around a lot, and she was very popular and always very pleasant. Our paths, we worked together very early on. After graduation, I was hired as a clinical assistant here at the School of Nursing. Scared me to death. And Mary was a fellow faculty member. She had gotten her master's, so we taught together for several years. I married, stayed home in the 70s while Mary was furthering her education. I was doing what good Catholic girls do, producing 5 children. And we did kind of keep connected. I went to see her in Houston at a beautiful home that she was living in. She was a great cook. I was also chairing the advisory council for the School of Nursing. Mary came back. And after a time, I decided I needed to go back to work. I was feeling unfulfilled. So Galveston College was going to hire me as the part-time development director. And so I mentioned to Mary that I would resign from the School of Nursing because I couldn't take care of both institutions in a way. And she said, oh, don't do that. Give me 24 hours. Mary had a way, and she must have gone to, I can't even remember who the president was at the time, but she came back to me. I said, Mary, I only want to work part-time because I have a lot on my plate. Absolutely, whatever you want to do. So she hired me, and I was the first director of development for the School of Nursing. And what I have to say about Mary is she gave me free rein, really. She was the most supportive boss that you could ever have. She had confidence. She was interested in elevating the School of Nursing as far as development goes. We had a lot of potential, and she allowed that potential to grow. We started a fundraiser started an alumni breakfast and honoring our scholarship donors. And I bought this. Thank goodness my mother saved things. But when I was looking for things, this is the first Salute to Nursing golf tournament invitation we had. It was a little controversial, I guess, because, we used to have bake sales for the School of Nursing. And we decided we weren't going to do that anymore. So that first Salute to Nursing golf tournament raised, I think, 150,000 maybe. And that was, everybody was amazed that nurses could do that. We had a second one, a third one, and then we started the Salute to Nursing Endowment that we would give immediate scholarships, but then save the rest. In here, you'll laugh. I see so many of you that were donors to our auction. I mean, we had a Pie of the Month deal that I delivered it to Mrs. Kempner for her bridge parties once a year, and she liked it on a certain day. We had artwork donated by so many of you, and the faculty was very supportive. I guess my images of Mary are, she was, did not like to be in the limelight. She had wonderful relationship with our donors. There's a picture in here of Marie Hall. I think you remember her. Marie had great respect for Mary. Mary and I visited Marie quite a bit in West Texas. And then Katie, I saw you. I'll never forget our trip we took to her home in West Texas. She said, "Oh, so you two are going to love it. Get out of the humidity in Galveston, see the beautiful Green Mountains." And we got there for the weekend and we saw no Green Mountain because it was so foggy. And so, but I was at her wedding. My husband and I went. It was just beautiful. And I was so happy that Mary found her soulmate because she truly loved that part of her life. So I will always look back to Mary for giving me the opportunity to grow in a career that I never thought I'd have. And she, I think, was had a major role in giving the UTMB School of Nursing the visibility and the strength and the respect that it deserves at this wonderful institution. So thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you. I'm going to give it to Susan, and then we are dedicating a room in the simulation center, and they need for us to be over there at a certain time. But I'm going to let Susan, Mary's sister, say something, and then any of you who would like to join us and walk over, and it's on the same floor, just across the hall.
Well, this is kind of impromptu, but I'm Mary's older sister, and this is overwhelming. I love the building, just walking through briefly, but you talk about resistant. Mary told me in 1992, you have got to come work here because I need help with the building, because that is kind of my background, is construction, renovation, design, and that type of thing. And she said, you don't have to stay here long. It's just for me. Well, of course, I got very involved. I was here 16 years. But anyway, I just want to thank everybody. And I know my sister, Kathy, our younger sister, agrees with me. So thank you very much.
Right. So any of you who would like to join us, we're going to walk over just down the hall and across to the room that we're dedicating to Mary. It's part of our simulation center here in the Health Education Center. So please join us.
Linda,
Yes.
Can you hear me? This is Lynn Keegan. Can you hear me?
Yes, Lynn. Yes, I can.
Chelsea said, go ahead and jump in because I had my hand up, because I did want to say something and I'm online. Most of you cannot see me, but I am online. And I just want to say a bit about Mary and also say hello to Linda Rounds. Linda and I were in the doctoral program together in Austin and graduated the same year, 1983. Linda continued her academic career, and I followed her somewhat silently. And I've done many academics, but a lot of other things too. My relationship with Mary was one that included holistic nursing. I was actively involved in the American Holistic Nurses Association as a leader and a president for many years. Mary came to the meetings, our annual meetings. She was heavily involved and took that information, the data, what she learned, and how she interacted with us back to the university. So I knew her as a friend and as a colleague, and all about her dear love for horses and the life she had. The last time I saw Mary was in New Hampshire. We were in rural New Hampshire, and it was a very long time ago, maybe 20 years ago. And she told me at that time, she said, my adrenals are wiped out. And we talked about a path for recovery for her. And then she went ahead and had a great bounce back and continued her career. But I just wanted to tell you all how heavily she was involved with holistic nursing, and a dear friend and colleague to me. So thank you, Linda, for being there and figuring it out how some of us could be together with this memorial online. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. Yes, you're correct. That was a very important part of Mary's life. So with us is Dr. Katie Branch, and she is she's more than the.
Yeah, well, I hate to put people on the spot, but I know, and my title is very, very long, but I am the Vice President of Interprofessional Education in the Health Education Center here at UTMB. I didn't know Mary. I've only been at UTMB for a year and a half, but I had heard of her. And listening to you all today, I just want to say, it reminded me of it's a famous poem by Linda Ellis called The Dash, and about how much we pack into our life from our birth date to the date of our death. And we all have that dash. Mary's dash should be bolded and overflowing. But I will say, not only did you all express the life, the love, the difference that she made, but I think that just in the inspiration that you've said, what she's done, it has inspired us to all make our own dashes a little bit bolder. But I would be thrilled if anybody wants to join me to see the room that we're dedicating in the Sim Center. You can join me.
And just. Yes, and please enjoy the food. And you should know that Dr. Branch, well,